1, 2, you hear the clock ticking, tick tock. You about to stop living, tick tock. I want you to remember me, tick tock. But the dead don't have no memory. I'm coming. Nobody can stop me, nobody can hold me, nobody control me. I'm coming. I'm here to do my thing, I'm here to bring the pain. I'm never ever gonna change. I'm coming. Nobody can stop me, nobody can hold me, nobody control me. I'm coming. I'm here to do my thing, I'm here to bring the pain. I'm never ever gonna change. Like Tropicana, I got the juice. All for the least, they let the dog loose. Don't make me call up the crew. Now they getting scared when I call up a truce. I'm the one like Neil, cocky like.
All right, what is up, people? It is me, back again. We're on episode number 18 here of the Most Valuable Podcast. And it's valuable because anything you're going to hear, right, especially in this episode, is going to be valuable for your life. And so I'm super excited for today's episode, tonight's episode, whatever time you're tuning in. I have with me Morwenna Petaia, and she is the CEO of Measina Treasures of Samoa. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
That is correct. And we were just talking off camera just before we started recording. We had planned to have this discussion months ago, right?
Yes, long time ago.
Long time ago, but I'm glad we're finally here. We're making this happen because I've been following you for a little bit now, and I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing and the way you're impacting our community. And I want to get to all that stuff, but I want to start off with just tell me a little bit about yourself. Whatever info you want to add, and how you got here to Australia. Is that all right if we go there?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I actually moved to Australia when I was 2. So I went through high school, everything here in Melbourne, Blackie High, yay. Then I went to university in Hawaii. So I went to BYU, worked at the PCC. Then I got married and I had my son. So I moved back to Australia to have my son. Then my son and I moved to Samoa when he was 2. So 2005, we went to family reunion and we stayed there for 9 years. So that was an amazing experience. I did so many things that I loved, and I learned so many things from staying in Samoa. Then we moved back to Melbourne 2014, and so I have how many degrees? So I had my bachelor's degree and I had a master's degree, which I did online in Samoa. And when I came back to Australia, I actually found it really hard to find a job. So I was on family tax benefits for quite a while, and then I went into Centrelink, and they hooked me up with job providers and still wasn't finding a job. And then I found the NEAS program, so the New Enterprise Incentive Scheme. And so that helps people to learn the basics of being a business person and to think about what kind of business you would like to build. And so they helped me to build Measina. We started off as an online store selling products directly from Samoa. And since then, we've branched out to do lots of different things. We found out that there were lots of Samoans in business around the world, and so we wanted to help everyone. So we wanted to make it more of a marketplace for Samoan businesses who weren't ready to have their own websites to sell their own products on. And so now we sell products made by Samoans around the world, digital products, online courses, and we do in-person workshops as well. And so that's my story.
Wow, I mean that's like your story in like a minute and a bit, but I know there's so much in there. Like, I'll tell you what, I was listening to you just share your story right there, and I was like, okay, what are you gonna just listen and then share what you learned from what she just said. And I learned that you're a freaking hustler. Like, that's what I got out of that, because it's like you start in Australia, you make your way to Hawaii, you come back to Australia, then you go to Samoa, and then you're back here and you're trying to find a job and you can't find it, and and I just want to touch on just that part right there, because you can't find a job. Were you able to open up a little bit on the struggle, or how you were feeling personally when you were just getting knocked back, can't find this, can't do this? Because I feel like most people, especially our people, we get into situations like this, and then when we get a couple rejections or we can't get results go away straight away, we're just like, stuff this, and then they're just bumming around for the rest of their lives. And it's like, and that's what I love hearing what you're talking about. It's like you kind of created your own opportunity to make something for yourself. Can you just share a little bit of what you were going through in the time where you were struggling, and then what ultimately led to you just like, you know what, I want to find this course, I want to do this, I want to do this? Can you just let us into just that part of
Okay. So bit of background, in Samoa, I was like senior management. And so coming back to Australia and not even being able to get a job at Coles, stacking on the shelves,
That's crazy.
I felt like I was nothing. Like, what the hell is happening? Here I am, I have these degrees and I have all of this experience, and I'm coming here and I'm getting rejected at least 5 times every single day. And it's like, what on earth is happening? Who am I? I must be like worth absolutely nothing to have this to happen to me. And so it was really, I know at the time I didn't actually realize it, but I was going through quite some depression. I was overeating. I was not talking to my friends. I was not interacting with anyone. I was not being me. And that I didn't realize at the time was actually happening to me. And
Wow.
And then having all of the ongoing, and it's not just a once off, it's ongoing weeks, months and months of rejections, that it just killed my self-esteem. And I had absolutely no self-esteem. And so when I saw this program, I was like, wow, this means that I'm going to have to step out of my comfort zone and talk to people and be more outgoing, whereas I'm usually quite introverted and don't really make an effort to talk to people unless I know them. And so I knew I needed to make a change in order for me to get out of this rut and to do something and to actually be successful to a place where I knew that I would be happier. And so it was like jumping off the deep end into the deep end. And it was actually the best thing that could have happened to me, because it made me build myself up and made me force myself to get out of my comfort zone and to do the things that I didn't think that I wanted to do, but actually were really, really great for me. Yeah,
it's so amazing to hear you speak on that. Just because I know we all get into moments in our lives where, we feel like the world is against us. I mean, you said it yourself, you had like all the degrees in the world and you couldn't even get a job at Coles. And like, that would have been so frustrating. Like, and if someone was, I give up, I quit. Like, I get it. I get it. Like, you work so hard and there's just no results. And I feel like seeing seeing you flip that switch and you realize, look, at the end of the day, I just can't stay like this forever. Like I've got to get up and do something. And you take the course, and now you've started your own freaking business, which, if you haven't seen, is freaking booming right now. And like I was going through it, actually, what day was it? I think it was last weekend. I was going through your Instagram account, and there's actually one thing I wanted to kind of point out that I really enjoy, because I think I'm like the most proudest Samoan on social media. I'm always bragging about being Samoan, all the Samoan things, anything Samoan. I'm like, that's me, right? And then I go on your page, I'm like, damn, like you want a full Samoan like representative? It's over there at Measina. What's your Instagram handle again? Measina
Measina,
Samoa, right?
Samoa.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I just loved it. Like I scrolled. All I see is Samoa. You're either putting on or announcing like what other Samoans are doing, and a lot of the things that you do. One of the things that you also do is blog, right?
Yes, we have a blog.
Right, and so there's that. You're still selling stuff, right?
Yes.
Then there's the merch. I see the merch. I see that you're doing that right there. I got to get me one. I'll order soon, I promise. And then there's this other thing that you do that I freaking love, and it's because I feel like, because a lot of us Samoans growing up here, we don't have good fa Samoa, right? And so one of the things I love that you're doing is you do a Samoan, is it word of the day?
It was word of the day, but we've changed it to phrase.
Phrase of the day. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I did notice, because it started off with just words and then little phrases. You're right. And I love that, because there's so many of us trying to learn how to speak the language. And we just go on your page and we just learn a new phrase. Like every freaking day or every time you post, we're learning a new phrase. What made you want to start doing that? Just that specific thing?
I thought that, well, actually, I grew up not knowing Samoan.
Right.
I was very much against learning Samoan from my mum growing up. So then when I was a teenager and spent a year in Samoa in high school, I knew that I was missing something because I didn't know my Samoan. So I didn't know what the other kids at school were saying to me, and I didn't know what they were telling me to say. And so I ended up saying a lot of swear words without actually knowing I was swearing.
Right.
Yeah. And so when I returned to Australia, there was that missing connection. And that's actually why I went to school in university in Hawaii, was because that was the only place that taught Pacific Island studies at that time. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn more about my language and culture, and that's why I went to BYU. And I know that I'm not the only person that has gone through that. As you said, there's lots of us. There's actually more Samoans living outside of Samoa than there are on the islands, and we've lost that connection with our language and culture. And I know there's not a lot of resources out there. And so if I can offer that to somebody, then that's a blessing for me, and I hope that it helps somebody. And so that's why we've introduced the language.
Yeah, that definitely helps, and it's just one of many things that you guys got going on over there. So you mentioned you went back to Samoa. Well, so you were here before you went to Samoa, right? And you went to Samoa after BYU, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was there like some like culture shock thing? Like, did you was it what you expected when you went over? Because was that the first time you went there or no?
No, it wasn't the first time.
Okay, so you've been there before.
I spent almost a year there when I was 15, 16. And so that was my culture shock.
Okay, so what was, when you went there for a year, was it what you expected? What was like crazy? What blew your mind?
So I really hate having to say this, but this was actually my true thoughts, was that because I was in Australia, I automatically thought that I was getting a better education, that we've got better things here. But when I went to Samoa, I learned that the kids here, they were smarter than me. They knew more than I did. They studied harder than I did because they knew that was their way to get further. And so in a way, it taught me to be more grateful for what I have here in Australia, but at the same time know that yes, I have all these things, but that doesn't make me any better than the people in Samoa. And so that was a culture shock for me that way. There was also the culture shock of knowing I was Samoan, but being treated differently. So I would have my cousins all going around doing vows during Tōna'i, and I'd be sitting there like the guests, not, and it'd be like, wait a minute, I'm their age, I should be doing that stuff, but I didn't know how. And so there was that being taught differently and treated differently. Yes, was the cold showers. I wasn't used to cold showers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what's crazy is because I moved to Samoa too. You went to Measina, right? Is that correct?
No, I was at Samoa College.
Samoa College. Okay, so when I was there, I went to Measina, and I had the same as you, like the same, like you're so spot on when you say you go there and they're actually smart, and you don't honestly, you don't think they are. You really don't think they are. Like, and then you go to school and then you're like, I'll be honest, when I went to school over there, that was the first time I ever saw A in any of my classes. But like, even that, like, there were like 6, 7 in my own class, 6, 7 people in my own little class that were so much smarter than me. And I was like, I kind of felt embarrassed. I was like, I should be like top of the freaking class, and I wasn't. And I think that's like when you brought that up, it's so true. It's like we underestimate just how smart our own people are, and the whole thing where you said that they treat us different too is like, yeah, like that's so true, man. Because when I first moved there, I went to my dad's village, which is in Ngofali'i, and like slowly but surely, I ended up going to the Maumanga, and I was just thinking to myself, this, what kind of life is this, you know? But I learned to appreciate that life. I learned to appreciate the grind that our people do on a daily. I learned to appreciate how they look after their parents, how they basically do everything over there. It was like the most amazing, because we don't see that over here. We're here in Australia. We don't see that, you know? So when I'm actually there seeing it live, and then not even knowing how to speak the language, but you're kind of forced to learn the language because, like you were saying, how can you communicate? You know what I'm saying? And so, man, there are so many lessons that going home will teach you.
Exactly. Right? Yes. But not everybody has the opportunity or even can afford to go back. And so having resources available to them is really important, because often we'll find that it's the disconnect from our language and our culture that causes ourselves to not feel 100% who we are, and that causes difficulties in our lives.
Yeah, I think that's a big, like, I speak to a lot of people here who can't speak the language, but they wish they can. And I think here, like, I feel like there's opportunities for us to learn the language. I mean, I know there's books out there. I see some businesses coming up where they're actually teaching the language. Then there's stuff like what you're doing. I feel like the resources are available here for us here. It's just a matter of directing people to it, you know. And I 100% agree. I just think you can't fully appreciate being Samoan until you actually delve into what a Samoan is. Or I mean, you don't even have to go back. I mean, you can just learn and study. Like, there's still a lot of the Samoan traditions that happen here, like even though we're not back at home. But yeah, so I thought that I actually wanted to ask you about your first experience when you got there. I always think it's interesting hearing people like share their first experience in Samoa. You're doing a Sivafi thing right now that I see.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I see you. You're getting better and better. You're on day what now? 70 something, right?
Possibly. I've taken it to there's 5 more weeks left.
So are you taking someone else's Sivafi class?
I know my son has an online Sivafi course that we sell in our store. And so he's giving me pointers and he's teaching me different moves. And he said if I don't show him that I'm up to a certain level by that date, he won't let me use the fire. So I'm still, come on, I got to keep going.
Wow, I love that. He's challenged mom.
Yeah.
He's challenged.
Yeah,
How are you finding that whole experience too?
It's like anything where you have to practice and practice. It's hard. It's hard to get into the routine of practicing. It's hard to get the moves down, and it's hard to make time for it. And so it's putting in that dedication and then knowing that these are actually movements that your ancestors did. These are actually historically Samoan things that, and Nafanua would have known that my forefathers had performed for their villages when they won wars. And so the whole Ailau and Sivafi, it brings you closer to the knowledge that these are what my forefathers did. And so I'm still carrying on their legacy.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought you would have picked up the whole Sivafi thing at PCC.
No, I was studying.
Were you okay? So I love PCC. Like the night show, I think is the most amazingest thing I've ever seen. Like when I'm there, I watch it probably like I'll try go like as often as much as I can just so I can watch it. I just love seeing the way that they put everything together. Did you ever get involved in that stuff or not?
No, I had the cool jobs in the restaurants and in security, so right. I wasn't good enough. But yeah.
Yeah, but you're learning the Sivafi now, so you can go back now and be like, hey, I'm ready now. So.
Well, they did actually just have their first female Sivafi performer on the stage, so I'm really proud of them for that. Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Dang. All right, take me back to your 3 degrees. Is it 3? No, your degrees that you went to study for, right?
Yeah. So I have my Bachelor of Arts in Pacific Island Studies and Political Science. Mm-hmm. I got a Master's in International and Community Development and a Graduate Certificate in Marketing.
Right. Did you have somebody kind of mentor you to kind of push you into that direction? Or is that something that you knew that's the route you wanted to take or you wanted to try? Or just how did that come about?
So I explained why I went to BYU, and because that was the only place to do the Pacific Studies at that time. While I was working in Samoa, I was at a water engineering firm, and they were forerunners, and they actually offered their staff time to study. And so they encouraged me to take on further studies. And so I looked at what was available to me and what worked well with the area that we were working in, so water and development. And so I found an online course through Deakin University, and that's how I got into community development.
Would you, because I feel like schooling is something that our people don't really get into, you know? I feel like a lot of times we just accept whatever job we take straight after school, our parents are, hey, get a job, pay the bills, and we get the job, whatever job it is. Like a lot of these guys don't even care. They're just like, look, whatever job, I'll just go and get, and then they just stay there and just stay there and just stay there, and they get comfortable. But I feel like there's just so much. Like I listen to your story, and I just think, damn, like if someone just like had the guts to just get up and go after what they want to go after and go do it. What would your advice be for the individual that, because I know there's a lot of us that want to break out and want to chase their real dreams and want to go do something better than what they're doing right now. What would your advice be to that person going through that phase and encouraging them to kind of like really get out there?
Yeah. So my advice would be to find something that you love and that you're passionate about, that when you go through all of the difficulties and all of the hard times that going into business has for you, then you won't give it up so easily, because this is something you love. This is something you want to do and you're passionate about. I would also encourage them to do some kind of business course, or even if read up on what it's like to be a business person and what you need to do, because it's not just putting your stuff online. It's knowing your financial forecasts. It's knowing how much to price your products. It's knowing how much cash flow is coming in and coming out, and then are you going to be able to have enough money in your accounts to pay the bills every week. It's knowing how to market your business. It's knowing how to do your taxes, to do your accounting, bookkeeping. So there's a whole lot of things that go behind being a business person, and knowing those and knowing that these are things that you're going to have to do, because you're either going to put in the time to learn all of these things and do it yourself, or you're going to have to pay out a lot of money to pay other people to do it for you. And so knowing that ahead of time gives you the understanding that this is not an easy thing to do. It's going to take a lot of hard work and persistence and determination, just like learning Sivafi, just like training to be a basketball player. You need to put in the hard work in order to get the returns. So yeah, be passionate about what you're wanting to begin, and know the business behind the scenes. Yeah,
that's so true too, because a lot of people get forced into a direction and it's not something that they enjoy. So when they get deep into it, they don't finish, they don't complete it, and it's because the passion's not there. So it's so important. Like I love what you're saying about it has to be something that you're passionate about, because that I just feel like passion is what's going to pull you through in the end, because if it's not there, why the hell are we doing it? With everything that you're doing, what are some of the blessings that you have seen come from everything that you're doing? Again, it's like you started from the ground up, and now you're like got so many options and you're doing so many things, and I just think it's amazing. And that's to me, you're a strong Samoan woman, and someone that a lot of our women should look to kind of help them get to a point in their lives where they can, because I know a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of people because I do this whole podcast thing, and I talk to a lot of people about their lives and what's going on, and a lot of them are always talking about, I want to just do this and get there. And I just want to point them to you so they can see, because I feel like we need examples of people that we can relate to. Too many times we're looking at celebrities and their lives, and it's like, I want that. Like, cool, but you don't know them. Look at your own people. There's people here who have accomplished so much. For example, you, since we're talking to you, you're a perfect example. Look here, like right here, like we got our own very own people doing amazing things. So with everything that you're doing, what are some of the positives and the blessings that you have received from all of this?
I think the greatest blessing that I've received is being able to make a network of different Samoans doing different things, and knowing that I can reach out to them, and knowing that I can ask them for assistance, ask them for their advice and for recommendations, and just pass by different ideas and see what their reactions are. And knowing that all of these people I wouldn't have known if I didn't get into my business and reach out and make the different networks. Yeah. And so that was one of my greatest blessings. And the other greatest blessing is that I've been able to teach my son that being in business for yourself is not just something that you think about and not like do when you feel like it. It's something that you actually have to put work into every single day, just like you would any other job. And building in him the confidence that he will be able to take his Siva Afi classes and his Siva Afi performances and make his own business for himself. And so that's another blessing that I've had starting this business. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. How old is your son now?
He turns 18 in 2 weeks.
Right. So do you see like damn, he's a like full on adult now.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you seen like how would I put this? Like with everything that you've learned and accomplished in your life, I would assume that you try to pass as much as you can onto him. Do you see him kind of like taking on some of the stuff that you have taught him?
Sometimes he has his good days and he has his bad days, but I know it's there. It's just he just actually has to push himself to do it. And I guess when he's not doing it full time and he doesn't have the pressure of actually I need to get a paycheck this week, he doesn't really have that motivation. But I know that once he knows I need to pay my bills, I need to actually do something, then he's gonna jump in there, I think.
Yeah. That's super cool. That's super cool. The name Measina Treasures of Samoa, how did you get that? Or how did you come up with that name?
So I knew that Measina actually meant Treasures of Samoa, and I knew that what I wanted to sell were creations of our people. And so while it's not the traditional Yetonga or the Tatao, it's actually our Samoan people, which I believe are treasures, and they're not just found in Samoa, they're found all over the world. And so while Measina does mean the cultural way, I actually see the Treasures of Samoa as being our people and who we are and what we do and what we do in businesses. And so that was how Measina came about.
Right. Yeah, I was interested in that. Actually, I wrote it down and I just looked at it. I was like, you didn't even ask her how she got the name, because that was one of the questions I wanted to know about, was like, because it's like in terms of like marketing and stuff, I feel like that's a brilliant name. Like I see it and it's just like it gets me straight away, like, oh, like you know what I mean? Like some people's names of their businesses I just look at like, but that one like caught my attention. I was like, I wonder how she came up with that. I wonder if there's a story behind that. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Well, it's been great talking to you. I've had a lot of fun learning about all the stuff that you're doing. Actually, I'll actually like look at your stuff and it gives me ideas. It gives me a lot of ideas with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. But for everybody watching this, if you're not following the Instagram account, make sure you do that, because it's it's an account that's consistent, and I love that about your account, because there's always something going up there. There's always something happening, but it's always something that is like, like useful. I'm sure there's a more better word than that, but it's like, I'm big on educating yourself now. I used to hate education, I hate learning, all that kind of stuff, but I love doing that now, and I love doing it from just each other, And so I see a lot of the stuff that's going on, and I've learned a lot, and I know that other people can learn a lot. So make sure you head over and you jump on that page, and you see what's happening over there. I promise you guys, it's something that will help you guys out. Before I let you go, do you have any final words that you want to pass on to our people?
I don't know. I guess right now would be to stand up for ourselves. A lot of the time we feel pressured to fit in with our Western world, but knowing who we are and what we believe in and where we came from helps us to be more confident to speak out against wrongs that are happening to us, to stand up for our rights, and to be not just standing in the background, but out there and speaking our voices and letting people know who we are and what we stand for. So yeah, don't, I guess, be humble, but also don't be walked over, if that makes sense to anyone.
Wow, that's actually amazing advice right there. I appreciate that. Don't get walked over, people. Stand up for yourself, and I can't say that any better than you have, but I appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about your story, and I just hope that the people who listen can take some of that and apply it in their lives, and hopefully one day reach their real goals and dreams. And I applaud you for everything that you're doing. I definitely think it's a benefit for our people, and there's just not enough of it, of our people doing stuff like this. And I would just encourage, I know there's somebody out there that's listening that has the talent to do all of this, but you're lazy as heck right now. So I hope this story right here kicks you in the butt and you get up and you go do it. So yes, thank you, sis, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good. All right.